Okay, we were knee deep in the world of background screening data a moment ago. And the last time we learned about county criminal records and how they're the backbone of quality checks, 3,100 counties holding the keys to most US crimes. But how do you actually get the data? And I think it's important for you to know this. In this lesson, we're going to be diving into the three ways that all background screening companies go and get the data they need to build your background checks. It's bots, manual searches, and court runners. So buckle up because there's a lot of action that happens here. First, let's clear something up. Most people think background screening companies send their own people to courthouses to dig up records. And the answer of that is nope, that doesn't happen. The industry is layered like a cake. At the top, you've got screening companies like my company at Bchex building reports. Below them, vendors who specialize in fetching the county data that we're talking about. And below them, data aggregators who compile the big databases. So when you submit a background check, the screening company figures out which counties to search, then hands off the order to those vendors. Now let's talk about how they get it done. There's three ways. First is the electronic collection with bots or scrapers of some sort. This is the slick, high-tech way. It is very sharp, and it's used for about half of the counties. Here's how it works. The screening company sends the order to a vendor with tech that zips it into the county's public online portal. Now, those bots search for your candidate's name, maybe some variations of their name and information, and they pull the records in real time electronically. Now, it's fast, like same day fast, and it's efficient. But here's the catch. Those records still need to be checked for a match and reportability by the screening company. Is it really your applicant or just someone with the same name? That's on the screener, the background screening company, to figure out. Now, don't fall for the hype. Some salespeople brag, we've got this vast electronic network. Sounds cool, right? But 9 out of 10 times, they're all using the same vendors as everyone else. Only a handful of companies have their own bot tech, and most outsource it. And bots aren't perfect. If a county's website goes down and gets a redesign, or get this, blocks bots to protect their system, the whole thing grinds to a halt until it's fixed. Still, when it works, it's a game changer for getting quality data quickly. All right, the second method is manual online searches. All right, that about another half of the counties. Bots won't cut it. Maybe the county's portal is too tricky, legally restrictive, or just not bot friendly. So it's old school human power. A screening company might have its own team or outsource this to a vendor. All right, so you got to picture this as someone sitting at a desk with a list of orders, typing names into the county's website, copying the records by hand, or maybe using a tool to grab the data. It's very labor intensive, like baking a cake from scratch instead of using a mix. All right, so here's the deal. That takes time. Orders pile up, queues form, and delays can stretch from hours to days. Big companies often offshore this work to save costs. Think call centers halfway across the globe. And just like the bots, the screening company still has to verify if the records match your candidate and if they're reportable. It's reliable, but it is slower. And you've got a plan for these bottlenecks. Now, the third way is court runners. Now, this is the wild west of data collection, in my opinion, used when records aren't online at all. The screening company sends the order to a court runner, someone who physically goes to the courthouse. So they might use a terminal to search records inside the courthouse, or in some cases, literally fill out a paper form and hand it to the clerk. Now, imagine this scenario. You send an order and a court runner walks into the courthouse. There's Miss Mabel, who's been the clerk for 30 years. She takes your form, looks at it, smiles, and says, I'll see you next Thursday. I do these on Thursdays. Thursday? Now, that's the reality of some courts. Here's the truth. Court runners are awesome, but, they're not magic. Screening companies love to say, we've got a fast court running network. Sounds exclusive, right? It's not. The industry leans on a tight vendor market. Often these people are retired clerks or locals who connect with some wholesaler, all right? And one runner might handle 100 orders a day from multiple background check companies. Pocketing a few $100, it's efficient. It costs the screeners a couple from $2 to maybe $5 a search, but it is challenging. I mean, some courts, like in California, have limited staff. Think weeks-long delays. Remote counties might only get a court runner every other day. And places like Bexar County, Texas, we had a client there who was pulling their hair out every day because the search took days. Their HR team didn't get it, but there was just no way to speed it up unless they understood the process. So why should you care? Because knowing how the county data is collected, bots, manual searches, court runners, whatever the mix may be in a particular county, makes you smarter. Each method has strengths and quirks, and a good screening program plans for all three. Don't let vendors kind of snow you in with tales of proprietary networks. It's mostly the same system as everyone else is using. And your job is to demand transparency and build processes that account for these delays, especially in, for instance, court runner heavy counties. That's lesson 2, your guide to snagging county data like a pro. Next, we'll explore why people don't always get arrested where they live. Stick with me, heroes. You're leveling up fast.